Today's read aloud includes lots of insects. It also includes my favorite insect, which is a bee. Insects have 3 body parts. They have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. They also have 6 legs, which you can see right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 2 antennae, which you see here, 1, 2. And some insects have wings, but not all of them. The book that we're reading today is called The Very Greedy Bee by Steve Smallman, illustrated by Jack Tickle. And 2 words that you need to know before you read this story is the word greedy. And greedy means someone that wants lots of something. So if you want, some people might be greedy over clothes or food and they don't like to share it. That's what's called being greedy. Another word that you need to know is nectar, which is a sugary fluid made by plants, and bees typically use this fluid to make honey.
In a busy, buzzy beehive lived a very greedy bee. All the other bees worked hard making honey and cleaning the hive, but the greedy bee spent all day guzzling nectar. Slurp, slurp, burp. Slurp, slurp, burp. The greedy bee wouldn't share his nectar with anyone. He wouldn't even let a tired ladybug sit on his flower. "Find your own flower," he shouted. "This one is mine." Is the greedy bee being very nice? And when one day the greedy bee found a meadow full of the biggest, juiciest flowers he had ever seen, he decided not to tell anyone. "Yummy," he buzzed. "Lots and lots of flowers, and they're all for me." Wow! It seems to me the bee is being very, very greedy, isn't he? What do you think is going to happen to the bee if he drinks all this nectar from all these flowers? The greedy bee zipped and buzzed from flower to flower, slurping and burping and growing fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. At last his tummy was full, and he settled down on a big pink flower in the warm yellow sunshine and fell fast asleep. Zzz. And when the greedy bee woke up, it was dark. He tried to fly, but his tummy was so roly and poly that he went down instead of up and crashed, biff, bang, thump, to the ground. "I'm scared," cried the greedy bee, "and I don't know how to get home." Then he saw 2 glowing eyes in the long grass. "Eek!" he cried. "A monster is coming to eat me." I think the monster might be a type of insect. What insect do you think this could be? But it wasn't a monster. It was 2 friendly fireflies, their bottoms glowing in the dark. "What's wrong?" they asked. "I'm too full to fly," wailed the greedy bee, "and I can't walk home in the dark." "Follow us," said the fireflies, and they all set off on the long, long journey home. Through the forest of flowers and squishy mud, over the hills and under the stars trudged the greedy bee. He had never walked so far, and he was very tired. "Almost there," called the fireflies. Then they heard the whoosh of rushing water. Look in the grass below the bee and the fireflies. What type of insect do you see? These 2 insects are called ants. "I'm almost home," cried the greedy bee excitedly. "It's the stream." And it was, but his hive was on the other side of it. "Oh no," said the greedy bee, sadly flopping down on the grass. "How will I ever get across?" "We'll help you," said a tiny ant with a big leaf. What do you think the ants are going to do with that big leaf? The ant and his friends flipped the big leaf into the water. "Jump on!" they cried. Helped by the fireflies, the greedy bee and the ants made their way splishing and splashing to the other side of the stream. "Hooray! I'm home!" cheered the greedy bee. "Where have you been?" asked the other bees. "I overslurped," said the greedy bee. "I would never have made it home if my new friends hadn't been so kind. Now I'm going to share my best honey with them. Would you like some too?" "Yes," said the other bees. "Let's have a party." Everyone enjoyed a midnight feast of sweet, yummy honey, all except for one very sleepy, very happy, but not so greedy bee. Alright, today we're going to do an insect sort. So we're going to sort the pictures by what's an insect and what's not an insect. And remember, an insect has 6 legs. It has 2 antennae on its head, and it has 3 parts of their body called a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. So, starting with the first picture is an ant. So you can see it has 3 body parts. So 1, 2, 3. It has 6 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 antennae. So that will go on an insect. The next animal that we have is a turtle. What do you think a turtle will be? Is it going to be an insect or not an insect? It is actually not an insect because it has 4 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's also an animal, not a bug. The next picture we have is a ladybug. Do you think a ladybug is an insect or not an insect? It is an insect. It has 1, 2, 3 body parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs. And 1, 2 antennae. So it is an insect. Alright, the next animal that we have is a worm. What do you think a worm is? Is it an insect or not an insect? It is actually not an insect because it does not have any legs or antennae, so it's going to be classified as not an insect. Alright, here we have a dragonfly, so let's count to see if it has the body parts to make it an insect. So let's look at the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 legs, and then there's 3 parts of the body. 1, 2, 3, and then it also has some wings, and it has 2 little antennae, so we're going to classify a dragonfly as an insect. The next animal that we have is a tiger. Do you think it's an insect or not an insect? It is not an insect. It has 4 legs, and it has 2 ears, which makes it not an insect. The next thing that we have is a butterfly. We're going to count the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 legs. 1, 2, 2 antennae, and 1, 2, 3 body parts. So that is an insect. The next animal is a deer. Do you think it's an insect or not an insect? It is not an insect. The next picture that we have is a bee. And we know from our story that a bee is actually an insect because Miss Hickman gave you that answer. So it has 1, 2, 3 body parts, and it just shows 3 legs on this side, but it also has 3 legs on the other side and has 2 antennae. The next animal that we have is a firefly. So let's see if a firefly is an insect. Do you think it's an insect or not an insect? It is an insect. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's another leg on the back, which makes 6. 2 antennae, and it has some wings, and it has 3 body parts. 1, 2, 3. So a firefly is an insect. Alright, the next animal that we have is a bear. Do you think it's an insect or not an insect? It is not an insect. So we're going to put it on this side of the chart. And Miss Hickman's going to get up to get the last couple for us. The next one is a tricky one. Do you think a spider is an insect or not an insect? A spider is not an insect, and one way you can tell it's not an insect is by how many legs it has. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's not an insect because it does not have 6 legs. It has 8. The next animal we have is a fish. Do you think a fish is an insect or not an insect? It is not an insect. It doesn't have 3 body parts and it does not have 6 legs. The next animal that we have is a dog. Do you think a dog is an insect or not an insect? A dog is not an insect because it has 4 legs and 2 ears. It doesn't have antenna and it does not have 6 legs. The next animal that we have is a fly. Do you think a fly is an insect or not an insect? So let's count the legs and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 3 parts of the body. 1, 2, 3. And it also has some antenna, but you can't see it in the pictures, but flies do have antenna, which it makes it an insect. And our last picture is a grasshopper. Do you think it's an insect or not an insect? We're going to count the legs to figure it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many antennae does it have? 1, 2. And it has 3 parts of the body. Its head, the thorax, and then the abdomen. So that classifies as an insect. And that will complete our insect sort for the day.